Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Dear guests, dear members of the Diplomatic Corps, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I really appreciate it for the invitation to attend this, I believe, very, very important conference, which calls the South Caucasus in a changing world. And I absolutely and strongly believe that such kind of conferences is extremely important to bring more understanding to the international community with regard on the ongoing processes, not only in Azerbaijan itself, but in the South Caucasus in general. As well as this is addressing the different issues of the regional dimension, including the countries which are as an immediate neighbors of the three South Caucasus states. I will build my statement pretty brief because as I look through the list of participants, most of the people whom I see also in this hall is quite familiar with the ongoing processes and with the aspirations and intentions of Azerbaijan's foreign policy and the domestic policy. And in this regard, I will just brief you with regard of the foreign policy dimensions and keep a little bit more for the Q&A session, which I believe is a pretty important part of any conferences. In 1991, when Azerbaijan regained its independence, there was a lot of threats and challenges which my country faced. The biggest one is, of course, the conflict with the neighboring Armenia, which is aggression of the Republic of Armenia against Azerbaijan, which at the end of the hot part of the war ended with the occupation of almost 20% of our territories, with this notorious and nasty practice of ethnic cleansing on the occupied territories. We started not as the other countries after the dissolution of the Soviet Union from the zero. I believe that we started from the minus level of development of the state, and it's an open secret that if in 1993 President Heydar Aliyev, late president of Azerbaijan, will not return back to the power upon the nationwide request, Azerbaijan will face much more problems and much more threats, including the questioning of its statehood at all. But after the 1993, when President Heydar Aliyev came to the power, slowly we start regaining and strengthening our statehood, our independence, and our sovereignty. Of course, the major break at that time was the signing of the contract with the big international energy companies, which calls the contract of the century, defining the first and utmost importance of the huge investments from the big companies and oil companies like British Petroleum or Statoil or other companies of the international caliber to the economy of Azerbaijan. That was not an easy time, but the contract was signed, the investments inflowed into Azerbaijan's economy, and the next step, which was a huge importance, was the decision on building up of pipeline which goes Baku-Tbilisi-Ceyhan, or BTC, delivering the oil from the Caspian Sea, from the Azerbaijan sector of offshore oil field, to the Turkish Mediterranean port of Ceyhan. It was a huge project. It was $4 billion project, which can deliver and carry 1 million barrels per day to the international markets. But it was an extremely important project, which will be another brick for the strengthening of our independence. And it's opened a lot of opportunities to Azerbaijan. When we inaugurate Baku, Tbilisi, Ceyhan, we can start it from this point saying that the economy of Azerbaijan, the growth of the economy of Azerbaijan ran tremendously. And the first 3 years, 4 years of the inauguration, after the inauguration of Baku, Tbilisi, Ceyhan, the GDP growth almost tripled in Azerbaijan. Besides that, it's opened a lot of opportunities to the different projects, including the delivery of the natural gas to the international markets, in particular building up of Baku-Tbilisi-Erzurum natural gas pipeline. It's also opened the opportunity for us to think thoroughly for the building up of non-oil sector, in particular as it was made by the government of Azerbaijan and President Ilham Aliyev himself, building up of infrastructural projects. All of our guests, you can find out that every year, if you get the chance to visit my country, you can face that the infrastructural projects, it's part of the strategy of President Ilham Aliyev as one of the major sector for the delivering of the non-oil sector development. And the cornerstone of this, it's of course building up of the railroad Baku-Tbilisi Kars, which can connect Europe and Asia with the opportunity when it will be inaugurated, inshallah, in 2012, we will see a real inflow of the financial resources and the cargo from Europe, a connection from Europe to Asia and from Asia to Europe. Of course, that can helpful 2 days ago when President Ilham Aliyev made a meeting of delivering his speech on the meeting of the Cabinet of Ministers. It was clearly indicated that despite of the financial crisis which the globe faced last few years, the economy of Azerbaijan managed it successfully, including to manage the GDP growth even during the most severe years of the global financial crisis. Of course, the major part comes from the energy sector, that's for obvious reasons, but we can manage such kind of negative aspects for economy as inflation, and besides that, it's also helpful for continuously develop not only Baku, but also developing of the regional projects. As I can inform you that it's a special program which is adopted by the government to deliver those financial resources which we have not only to the capital, which is of course absolutely obvious, but to the different and various regional projects. As I said, it's infrastructural projects, building up of a new roads, reconstruction, and the old ones, the railroads infrastructure. In 2 words, we can manage to use our geography for the strengthening again of the development of our states. Despite that, of course, there is a different project like agribusiness one, because now focusing with understanding that in the energy field, we have a success story, even including the still ongoing negotiations on the natural gas delivery to the international markets, particularly European ones, which can be very helpful to bringing additional financial resources to the economy. But besides that, it's also useful to how to use these resources. To avoid so-called, as my president said the day before yesterday, that everyone was criticized or make a forecast and prediction that Azerbaijan is getting sick of Dutch disease. So infamous disease and illness which bringing the economy, making the economy one-sided, particularly in case of energy. But the latest developments and the figures it's showing up that we are pretty successful avoiding this kind of problems, and the industrial output, and particular non-oil economies growth, it's showing up that we are on the right track. We can say that building up of as I said, infrastructural projects, agribusiness elements, and agribusiness different projects, as well as IT, information technology, and petrochemistry, it's an important element for the building a balanced and well-established economy of Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan made the decision to build up a new seaport, which will be very, very much essential for the Baku-Tbilisi-Ceyhan railroad connection, and the seaport is on the south of Baku in the city of Alat, and it can be another very strong element for the economic development of Azerbaijan. So far, the picture itself of the country's development is pretty obvious and positive, and in accordance with the forecast of the major financial institutions like World Bank and IMF, I think that competitiveness of Azerbaijan's economy is pretty high. As I mentioned in advance of my statement, still the biggest problem is the unresolved conflict between Armenia and Azerbaijan. And it's called Armenia-Azerbaijan Nagorno-Karabakh conflict, which we believe that time is now more and more ripe that we should achieve the breakthrough for that. Sorry. As a person who is directly involved into the negotiations with the Armenian side, I want to brief you about the latest standing on the conflict resolution, because it's as again, probably I repeat myself, it's one of the biggest problems which Azerbaijan still faced. In 2004, we start with the Armenian side the new round of negotiations. It was started in Prague, and it was decided by presidents of Armenia and Azerbaijan that it should be started on the level of foreign ministers. And we spent in numerous meetings, almost on the monthly basis, negotiating different ideas how we can proceed for the peaceful resolution of the conflict. And after 4 years of very intensive negotiations and deliberations, which goes as a Prague process, we recognize, together with the co-chair states of the OSCE Minsk group, namely United States, Russia, and France, that the way how we should proceed upon this so-called Prague process, it's step-by-step approach for the resolution. Because it's clear that you cannot solve it immediately, looking even to the core of the issue of NK, but utmost importance trying to clean the table of negotiations from the negative aspects of the conflict. And in particular, the occupied territories surrounding Nagorno-Karabakh, it's 7 districts of Azerbaijan, where never ever even one single Armenian used to live. And of course, return of the IDPs to the territories, which will open the opportunity for the more cooperation and confidence building measures, opening of all communications, and slowly, but including the step-by-steps, bringing and trying to introduce more durable and lasting peace and stability into the South Caucasus. Because we in Baku, and I am personally absolutely sure that this unresolved conflict is a huge threat to the not only peace and stability, but the security of the South Caucasus and in